find film adaptations an interesting concept, how they adapt prose, gameplay, or even just other films into a new entity. Because there are several paths someone can take to approach it. One is the general method most people expect, a faithful retelling of its original source material. And the other is the more creative route, which can be hard to figure out. How far do you want the adaptation to stray away? How much sticks in? And what are the changes you'll make to emphasize the mood of what has already been done? These are all tough questions, and I think Tatsuya Oishi's decisions in Kizumonogatari gives us an idea of how creative changes can make a story more resonating. Of course, this video spoils the film and the novel. This is the beginning of the light novel, an interior monologue by Koyomi, a prologue to set up the story with the expectation that this will be the darkest arc in the series. In the film, there's generally two ways to approach this. Summarize the monologue in voiceover at the start of the film, something that's prevalent in the show, or you could design a film-exclusive intro. Oishi made the decision to remove Koyomi's monologues in the first film, so the audience is in the moment with Koyomi, experiencing every step of the way as he is. For the film's opening scene, Oishi also does some restitching, tossing the viewer into the middle of the fourth chapter. With no prior context, and for audiences who haven't read the source material, the viewer is constantly guessing what's going to happen. Will something attack him? Is he running away from something? With no dialogue in the sequence, only ambience and an eerie score, being an origin story, some may assume this is the scene where Koyomi will meet Heart Underblade and become a vampire. It's not until a few minutes into the film does the audience fully realize he's already a vampire. The scene ends with the Japanese flag being used for an ominous cushion shot, and as symbolism of the sun that is now lethal to Koyomi. And by cutting to the foreboding opening credits, in 5 minutes, Oishi has recreated the same mood as the light novel's first chapter, using only elements available to film. Unlike the novel's chronological order, Oishi breaks the sequence of events, having the first quarter of the film trace back to the events shown in the beginning. By rearranging the timeline, there's a stronger cinematic pace, where the viewer is immediately forced to engage. But of course, this isn't the only way an adaptation can be creative. I've said this before, but setting plays a large part in both mood and aesthetic. And Isin's light novel focuses a lot on empty back alleys at night, alluding to the hidden supernatural within the normal world. Chapter 3 strongly utilizes this, emphasizing Heart Underblade dying under the one working street lamp. However, in Oishi's adaptation, we're in a bright, clean space, underground in a massive subway station. Here, Heart Underblade isn't hidden in darkness, but exposed under pure white light. Everything Oishi does here is an antithesis to Isin's original setting. But here's how every change makes this scene better for film. First off, unlike prose, film lacks the ability for expository writing, meaning that if the light novel is using a sequence of sentences as a build-up to the scene, film has to replicate that emotion visually and auditorially. With a massive metro complex, Koyomi can be forced to follow a track of blood through an array of sets, with the score playing in a slow crescendo. This goes on for about 3 minutes, like how prose can go on for 3 pages. And its consistent color balance and minimalist design mirrors the effects one can get from a novel's rhetoric, bringing Koyomi to the reveal. Changing the setting of an alleyway to an open subway platform gives multiple opportunities for Oishi to make the scene more cinematically intense. For one, Heart Underblade being shown under bright lights makes her appear more vulnerable, as she's explicitly weak in this moment. Koyomi is actually the one with all the leverage in this scene, but due to Underblade's composure against his own, it feels like she's the one in control. Oishi continues even further by including a bypassing train, to give the shots more movement and uses the screech of the wheels and track as an extra layer of auditive intensity. The white color of the station also has a strong contrast from the sharp red blood and dress of Underblade, so she's literally hard to look away from, since her figure stands out against her surroundings. Visually, she's seductive as much to us as she is to Koyomi. So by changing the location of a crucial scene, in 5 minutes, Oishi is able to make us understand Heart Underblade's desperate situation, her personality versus Koyomi's, the danger both characters are in, and why Koyomi can't turn away from her, without using expository dialogue. All of this can easily be conveyed in a novel. In film, it's not as simple, since more variables are in play. And that's why people usually complain about novel to film adaptations, since so much information that can be shown in writing can't be shown the same way in film. A lot of the time, in order to convey the same tone in a different medium, you'll need to do something more fitting for it. But just replicating every single frame from panel to panel can be boring. Not only does it defeat the purpose of an adaptation, it also wastes the capabilities of the medium it's being adapted into. Kizumonogatari is a faithful adaptation in its own way, such that it replicates the tone of Isin's light novel, but doesn't bother with the minutiae. This way, things can get wildly creative. And whether if it's for comedy or just brutal violence, it's strangely beautiful, and is something that's disappointingly rare for films in general. Using oddly burlesque imagery for cinematic flavor. But that's the taste you get from creative adaptations, finding that certain beauty you can't capture in other mediums. When it comes down to narrative fidelity, this seriously isn't a problem, because if you end up sacrificing details here and there, it makes room for new ones in places you never saw before.